Bum, ba,
Dun,
bum, bum,
dun, 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 dun,
bum,
dun,
bum, ba,
dun,
bum,
dun,
bum,
dun, dun,
bum.
dun. Kilted
Guilty
balls.
balls.
Woo! Happy
Yeah.
New Year, friends. Happy New Year, Kilted.
Happy New Year.
Woo! So we're a few days after the new year. It is the 3rd of January, but it's the first time we've seen you guys in 2023. Hope it is already starting off awesome and working out great for you. I don't know. So far, so good for you. You made it home safe. Kilted was up visiting.
I did. It was an awesome New Year. I appreciate, being able to hang out with you and Jamie. It was a wonderful time and the families and especially your family. So yes,
Nice.
thank you. It was
We
awesome.
definitely had a good time. I enjoyed myself. Also, I just went and got one of my ice cubes for my whiskey, and I noticed there was a big bottle of Screwball in there. You must have forgot your bottle of Screwball.
No, I left that there for you.
And not
I
only did
don't
you leave the Screwball, but then I saw that there was the Glenfiddich Manhattan bottle in there.
if I would have remembered that, I might have grabbed that one. Because I was gonna drink it that one night, but then I forgot.
I know. So you're leaving all of that stuff all in my house.
It gives you a reason to come visit.
I'm gonna have to take it all down there, bring it all down. That's for sure. And so, yeah, and your trip up here, you got a cool picture from Joe. We've not interviewed Joe. I'd love to interview him sometime and hear about his artistic journey. And I love his
Yes.
radio voice. You know, his
Yeah, that was
face is a
actually
face
here.
only radios love. So,
Uh-huh.
oh, you got the
I
picture
have it.
here?
I don't
Look
have it
at
hung up.
this.
Wait, where's that?
You were in the right
Eh,
spot when you brought it closer. Right
Okay.
about, oh man, put it right in front of your face.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a better look for sure.
Oh man.
Just take off your fog. Oh, there it is.
There we go. There
Oh,
we
oh,
go.
oh, 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 there it is. What a beautiful
Yeah,
picture.
it is awesome.
Yeah, is that oil on canvas?
I think it's acrylic on canvas with a spray to keep it protected. Yeah, I can't find my hanging up things, so it's sitting it's
No,
sitting on my desk right now.
that is amazing. And do you have your stained glass there? You got
I
some
don't
great art while you were here.
Yeah, the stained glass is downstairs because we get the afternoon sun, so it is awesome in that light.
Is
So
it?
I haven't
Oh,
seen I haven't seen it shine on the floor yet, like where it's at, like at a certain time it'll shine on the floor.
yeah.
But yeah, the secret, I guess not secret Santa, white elephant, I think it's what it's called. That's what I always call it.
Yeah, people call it a white elephant, but then I'm like, that gives the wrong impression because people, when they do white elephants, they think of cheap, right?
Yeah, that's true. Well,
And
not
that is
cheap,
not a cheap gift exchange.
but yeah, this the it's awesome. Stained glass piece of art, like a lake
Yeah,
scene.
it's
Really cool.
gorgeous. Yep, and we've already eaten or drink most of my gift that I got. So
Hmm.
yeah, no, that's a great gift exchange. It's for those of you who aren't aware, it's probably, I don't know what, 30, 40 people, 30 people. There
It
were two
was,
suits of cards plus a
yep,
third suit.
yes, exactly.
So
And part way, yeah, it was almost 40, I thought they were
yeah.
counting.
So it was a lot of people in the
Or
gift
42
exchange,
actually. Hmm.
and the gifts were a lot of the gifts were amazing. There were some gifts that were not amazing, right? Like one person got a whole bunch of towels, and I was like, wow, weak.
Is that that was Brenna, wasn't it?
It was.
She got, yeah, shafted.
We're like, you can say, like, we're like, we'll take either gift. Like, you can take the other gift and just wait till you turn 21, or you can
Hmm.
get this gift. And you know her, she's like, I don't care. It doesn't matter.
I mean, it would be
So,
if you got into that, like she doesn't have a kitchen, but you could switch out the different themes at the different
mhm.
times. So that would be really, I mean, it could be a really good gift for the right person, but she was definitely not the right person.
But yeah, she is not quite that person. That is true. So, so I had an idea for the theme today, and this
Hmm.
is like super cheesy, but it's like a new chapter idea. I don't think it's in our chapters yet,
Oh, nice.
but it came up when I was listening to our old Marcos, like catching up, because you were
Yeah.
here, so I didn't listen to them while you were here.
Yes.
Um, but it made me laugh. And then Cal and I had started watching Kung Fu Panda weeks ago, and we've watched it before. But I was like,
Mhm.
let's finish watching this. And he's like, no, I don't want to watch it. And so I just like turned it on. And we watched like another half hour of it. And then like when I got home before dinner, I'm like, let's finish watching that. So we finished watching it. And Kung Fu
Mhm.
Panda's, that's a great movie. I like it, right?
Mhm.
But there's a spot in there. And so one of the things that happens during the movie, so a brief synopsis, is when Shifu is getting all grumpy about having to train Po, and he's talking with his master Oogway, right?
Mhm.
Oogway says, you're never going to find peace until you give up the illusion of control, right?
Mhm.
And they have that argument, with like the peach tree. And he's like, listen, what do you mean I can't control it? And he's like, it doesn't matter what you do, you can't control it. Now, I used to laugh at that because I'm like, actually, you're wrong. I can genetically modify that seed and make it
Mhm.
do other stuff. So, but I think about that a lot. And then the part that struck me this, I've seen that movie tons of times because I have little kids, right? And it's not a movie that I enjoy that movie. But so at one point during the movie, Poe is like, even if you have 100 years, how could you turn this into the Dragon Warrior?
Yes.
Right. And he's super mad. He's like, how could you ever turn this into the Dragon Warrior? And Shifu is like, ah, and then he's like, I don't know. And that, like you're when you're watching it, like as a kid or even like, earlier times, Shifu's like, I don't know. And you're like, and Poe is like crushed about it, and the Furious Five go on to fight. And you're like, oh man, he just admitted his failure. But what they
Mhm.
don't realize, I think, is he just made a monumental change in his character that changed everything. Because by admitting that he didn't know how to change Poe, he finally admitted he didn't have control over the situation. And
Mhm.
so he was like, you know what? I don't know. I don't have control. I don't know what to do. And you could see him kind of be like, I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know. And you see the wheels to click like, I don't know. And because of that, he goes and meditates all night. And he's thinking about, he started thinking, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? And he finally just embraced the fact that he didn't know. He doesn't know.
Mhm.
And so then he comes back in and he has the epiphany like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do the flow. I'm going to go with the flow.
Mhm.
And then everything works out. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, that's what we've been talking about. Like, give up this illusion of control that you think you have and
Mhm.
admit that you don't know, which is one of the things we've grabbed with our trading strategy, right? Our trading
Yeah.
strategy, the fundamental purpose of the trading purpose, the fundamental like thing with the trading strategy.
Mhm.
It's not its purpose, but it's that we don't freaking know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going on. And
Mhm.
so we're not going to pretend that we do.
Mhm.
We're not going to pretend to do technical analysis. We're not going to pretend that we can look at the Fibonacci's and predict it. We're just going to come clean. We don't know what's going to happen,
Mhm.
and we'll just go from there. And first off, it makes you feel better, right?
Yeah.
Shifu found inner peace after that, right? He found
Mhm.
peace when he realized I can't control any of this. We have a lot more fun right now when we realize we don't control it. But even so much as when we're talking to like Jason and he's like, yeah, I bought some Tesla and then I bought in again and then I bought in again and then I bought in again and it kept on dropping, dropping,
Mhm.
dropping, right? And it
Yeah.
was this idea that you knew what it was going to do, but you didn't know what it was going to do, right? Like he's like, I think it's going to go lower. I think it's going to go lower. And it did keep going lower.
Mhm.
So it wasn't wrong. But, it's that idea that we're thinking we can tell and you can't. And the next spot where I thought it is like, we need to do an analysis on our miners. Like, are the miners
Mm-hmm.
making more money than electricity. And Jason made a great point. If they're not making more than the electricity, we still pay for the electricity, but we shut off the miners.
Yeah. That's, I mean, that hadn't even occurred to me. And having someone from the outs, it seems super obvious.
Seems super obvious. And I never thought of it either.
And it's like, why don't we take that money and just buy Bitcoin with it? Because it is super low right now. Now, for
Yes.
me, it's like, I rebutted right away, like, oh, then we're mining after the halving, but then it's worth it. So I guess what we'd have to consider if we want to do that, how does that affect our LLC this year?
Well, I think what it does is you just postpone it and you put that money into just buying the Bitcoin. Like, are you saying we buy it ourselves, or would Kilted still buy it and just distribute it to us?
I just thought we'd buy it ourselves.
I did too. Like, you would just say, okay,
Mhm.
I would have paid you $300 or whatever for electricity. Instead, I'm going to do $300 of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Because that's my thing, is if you could buy more, then you should just buy the more, right? Like,
Yeah,
I'm
you'd
like,
at least be able to buy the same. I mean, if it's
well, that's what, when he said it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so stupid obvious, right?
Mhm.
It's just so, like, why didn't we think of that? Like, and that's
Yeah.
why it's good to talk to people, FYI people. It's really good to talk about outside sources. Kilted had a person once, and the most frustrating thing about his partner was that they would not look at outside sources. Like, they would, but they wouldn't look at it with an open mind. They looked at it more of, how can I take advantage, or how can I discredit it? And you've got to be able to listen to people like this and be like,
Mhm.
shit, we're idiots. Again,
Yeah.
it's okay to not know, to say, I don't have control, I don't know. Right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's important to do. What's Bitcoin at right now?
16716.
16716.
Yeah.
And what are we paying for electricity each month each? Like 350 or 300?
I thought it was closer to 4, but say 350.
Okay, I can't remember. Oops, I just screwed up. So 350, and what'd you say it was? 16 what? 716?
6. Yep.
Point
1671.
zero 0.02. Point zero
Okay.
two zero nine is how much Bitcoin without fees you could buy. And we mine 0.022.
Mm-hmm.
So we're coming out ahead still by mining.
Okay.
But if it hit, that's at 350. If it hit 15,000, then we could get more by purchasing.
Yeah. But you'd have to plan
So
ahead and do that.
we'd have to look ahead. And so anyway, that's man, thanks Jason for the advice. And it gives us now a thing where, okay, if it drops down like to 1,600, maybe we need to consider not wasting the
If it drops,
miners on that.
if it drops 1600, we're in deep trouble. But yes.
I bet 16,000. Yes, 16,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, right. Doesn't that control thing make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
I,
so.
I I I like it a lot. I've only seen that movie once or twice, so not something that I would have picked up on, but you're exactly right. And I like Wayne Dyer a lot. We talked about him before, and he always says, let go and let God. I mean, he's like it's out of your hands. So it's whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. But let the universe take care of it.
Well, and I have found this is interesting. I found this both ways. I find that, like, born again Christians or hardline Christians, one of the reasons why they are is they're like,
Hmm.
just trust God, right? Like,
Hmm.
I don't have control, but they still need to feel like somebody has control. So they're
Hmm.
like, okay, you have control, God. You have control, Jesus. Jesus, take the wheel, right? Like,
Hmm.
they're saying,
Hmm.
you've got the deal. So I still need somebody to have control. So I'm going to say, it's you. And
Hmm.
then I'm just going to trust in your judgment, right? Like, that's what people
Hmm.
say. And I think it's funny because I think that's also the issue with atheists a lot of times, right? Like, They're like,
Mhm.
no, I have control. I have control over my life. And they don't like the thought that there's a God out there in control or a universe in control. And so they want to
Mhm.
be like, no, 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 no. It follows rules, it follows, steps,
Mhm.
and I have control over that. When in reality, you don't have control. Like
Nope.
you think you have control, but you don't,
Yeah.
which is why I play chaotic characters, right?
That makes sense.
Well, and if you look at the people we play against or play with, or
Mhm.
who are our DMs, part of the problems they have with characters like ours is they want to have control over the game. They want to meta the game. They want to have
Mhm.
control. And it drives them batty having players that are like, there's no control here. There's no control, and we're not going to pretend there is control.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. There's somewhat, but you do throw a wrench into it, which I think is awesome. I think your gameplay is hilarious.
well, it's the pure absence of meta, and people
Mhm.
who meta all the time can't handle people who don't meta.
Yeah.
I think they have trouble with that. And one of the things like I laugh about is like when we have puzzles or tricks or traps,
Hmm.
like a lot of times I figured those out. But that's my character never ever would.
Yes. I always have a tough time with that. Like, I know how to go about doing this, but would my character know how to go about doing it? And I agree. Like,
Yeah.
nope. Like that deductive reasoning isn't happening.
No, like my character doesn't do that. They're too impulsive to do that.
Hmm.
Whereas I would, and
Hmm.
then they get grumpy because you're not like solving the thing. But it's not like a true dungeon. Like that was one fun about True Dungeon, right? Like you walked into True Dungeon or escape rooms, right? You walk
Hmm.
in and you're like, boom, and you figure it out and everybody's happy. Or, somebody figures it out and everybody's happy,
Hmm.
and it's good.
Because it's you in there.
But it's you, it's not your character.
Hmm.
And I like that.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. It makes
But
me
yeah,
happy.
I
So,
like the chaos. I mean, even with everything that goes on, when you don't know, that's the chaos. Like, okay,
yeah.
like sweet. However it
Yes.
works out. And even I'm considering tweaking our because what started this is a comment that I had made that with our trading strategy, we thought we kind of had it figured out. And where it was in the market, it was working a certain way, but now we're more sideways. Some people say
Mm-hmm.
we might go up a little bit, so it doesn't really matter, but right now we're really sideways. So it's not working as well. So I'm thinking I might need to tweak it a little bit for sideways, and then we'll go into okay, if it's this part of the market of a 4-year cycle, you're either going up, you're going down, or you're going sideways. Really,
Right.
those are the three different ones. And
You're
even
you're
when you're going
amazing,
down,
John
you can
Madden.
yes, exactly. Well, I'm explaining this. I mean, you never know. We might have someone new here
I'm
who's
just like because Amy said that to me like 2 nights ago. Because I was like, well, we could do this or we could do this. And she's like, thanks, John Madden. I'm like,
yeah,
oh man.
they can pass or throw. But so yeah, we can either so I think for different stages of what's going on, we tweak it just a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and I even told Tristan, I'm like, I think right now because it's sideways, we need to like if we get to 3%, we need to just take it.
That's what I was going to ask you. What's the tweak you're thinking of? And it's 3%. It's interesting
Taking
because I
less.
had a similar thought. My bot strategy, my stuff is all tied up in bots still, right? Like it's
Hmm.
going to take a while before those come out back to normal. But I was thinking that when they do, one of the things I wanted to do was do my bots not as 10x's, but I kind of want to do them as 5x's,
Hmm.
but get rid of make the stops like dumb, like 40%,
Yeah. Well, it's
and
almost
just keep the
I
fives.
I thought about it because like how you're doing yours because you're doing
Mhm.
you're able to do the actual instead of the bots, unlike me. But
Yes.
what you're doing, you're kind of waiting for it to reset a little bit. So not necessarily reset even. I don't think that for using the bots, I don't think that that's necessary. But if we're taking that, but like you're not getting too far spread apart and you're opening it back up maybe within a percent or two of each other, then you're okay. Because right now we're in our when we opened our short, our long was at -8%. So now we're in limbo. We're running between like 2 and 6% and just
Right.
waiting for the grids to add up where it'll bump it or one of them to make a big move. So we're kind of stuck there, which stinks.
Yeah,
And
that's not as much fun.
just those little things, like even seeing what you're doing to tweak it a little bit, like, okay, well, it's sideways, it's moving a little bit, but not a ton. But if we could take if you're taking 3%, how many days do you need to take 3% to equal the 10? Now, yes,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
not bad.
that's it. Like, so one of our goals, I think we've been pretty clear about this. One of our goals is that we want to hit 10% every month,
Mhm.
which for us is really slow. Like for those of you who've been with us, we used to try to trade 10% per trade. So we
Mhm.
were like, that was our minimum. And now we're like, no, you know what? We just want 10% a month.
Yeah.
Compounding 10% a month is going to make you happy.
Mhm.
And so that's what we're trying to do with the strategy. Um, and we've got two different strategies going on, mine and yours. Hopefully I'll get back to yours once my bots do what they need to do,
Mhm.
which they're doing. I mean, they're arbitraging, so they're doing
Yeah.
fine,
Mhm.
but I'm not able to play the game. But
Yeah.
my other one is doing fine. I did 2 months in 2022 and I was just shy of 40%.
Mhm.
So, which is again, the goal was 10%. So I wanted to make 10% 1 month, 10% the next, and I made 40 overall, which I'm like, yeah, that's great. Now I just
Yep.
got to do that in 2023,
Mhm.
right? And we'll be happy. So
That's awesome. And I'm partially doing yours, but I'm only doing the long side because I think I believe in, and I could be wrong. I've eaten worse words on this podcast before in my thinks, but
yes.
I think we've hit the bottom. Unless another black swan obviously could happen, but I think that we've seen the bottom and we're gonna go sideways and maybe up a little bit for the next year. So
But when it's going sideways, it's also having dips.
yes, exactly. Well, which is how our stuff works.
Right,
Our
right.
stuff
That's
still
the whole
works.
plan. Well, and that's it. Like my short is still open and my short is sitting at, there was two big wicks that just happened. So now
Yep.
it's sitting at -12. And I thought about calling it when it was just barely negative, but I was like, nah, I'm just gonna, you know what? I wrote it a long time before. I'm gonna ride it now. I don't think there's no reason for me to panic, right?
Yeah.
So I'll just sit there and let it go and just kind of keep riding it along is kind of my thought.
That's awesome. Yeah, might as
So
well.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I saw that wick, I got excited for mine, which I didn't hit my 10, but like I said, I pulled out 7. And
yeah,
last month, I guess we didn't give an update. Last month, mine was just over 7, but Tristan did hit 8%. I don't know, like, just opening and closing a few second difference and, all that
yeah.
other stuff. So
But
yeah, it worked
he
out.
hit 8%,
He's ecstatic.
and it's his first time doing any kind of trading like this. And so this is a person that we were like has no knowledge of any of this, and we're
Mhm.
just saying do the strategy, listen to us, do the strategy, and let's see how much money you can make.
Mhm.
And
And he's
so far
already
good.
starting to ask questions where he can understand it better. He's like, okay, when we get a chance, I want you to explain to me, like you're thinking, like why we do it like this when we set our stops and we set our take profits.
Right,
So that's
right.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's super awesome.
I think it's super awesome. Right? Like that's the goal. The goal was never necessarily, I mean, making money is always good, but our goal was to educate first.
Yep.
So You know,
Yeah.
being able to educate people is pretty sweet, I think.
Teach others to do it is super awesome.
Until the man shuts us down, baby. Until the man shuts
Yep,
us down.
exactly.
That's kind of where I am. You know, if I make 10% every month, people can be super excited for us, you know, at the end of the year, right?
Heck yeah. I mean, that's super awesome. That's super, super
Yeah.
awesome.
And it doesn't take much to do. It takes a lot of patience. That's what it
Mhm.
takes. And it's funny because in the real world of stock trading, like if you're a normal Mom and Joe, I don't know where Mom and Joe came from, but
Mhm.
you're trying to make like 10% a year and you're just like hanging out, hoping you make your 10%, right?
Mhm.
And we're talking about how we have to be patient making 10% a month.
Yeah.
Like it's such a mental shift, right?
Mhm.
Like people still think opening a seat. I saw somebody who was so excited that they could open CDs at like 4 and 5%.
That's tough.
And I'm like, yeah, well, there's no risk. So you're like, well, I'm
Yeah,
getting
that's true.
5%, but
There is
there's
no
no
risk.
risk.
We do have some risk out there.
Yeah,
You
there's
know, we're not
risk.
not fooling anybody.
No, we could lose money,
Mhm.
but we're hoping that we're doing it right enough that we won't lose money.
Exactly.
That was part of the reason we did the strategy because we were losing money. And so we said, I'm not going to lose money anymore.
Yeah, we were
So,
losing money doing other stuff. So I got some exciting news this weekend.
ooh,
Well, you already know it, but I
oh,
did get that the Gap and Gain book.
you did. You did.
Um
Did you read any of it?
I am probably a quarter of the way through it.
And what do you think?
So I think it's super good. It's really interesting. And I did realize I'm working on myself. When I'm driving, I am in the gap when I'm driving because I'm letting people who may not think as clearly as myself when we drive bother me. So I'm working on it, working on that for sure.
That is not a bad thing to work on. Not a
But yeah,
bad thing
so
to work
far
on.
it's super good. It's I'm really enjoying it. It's an awesome book.
That's cool. I wanted to read a book this little break I had, and I have not even cracked one.
Nice. Well, coming
So,
down, and I need to check how long it's been, but what I try to like every year, maybe every couple of years, but I tried to go get through The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It's one of my favorites. So that was a good one. Gina had never heard it before, so we listened to that when we were driving up.
nice,
It's awesome.
nice. Yeah, I think it's like an older book, right? Like I think I
Yeah.
found it once.
Yeah, it's super, super good. And the
Yeah.
audio version, Jeremy Irons reads, which is cool. So if you like him, he's a cool actor and
Yeah, I think I remember. I don't remember where I read it, but right, it's the shepherd that goes on like a
mhm.
trip.
Yep.
Right. Okay. It's been so long, I barely remember any of it, honestly.
That's why it's good to hit it back up. That's why I like to do that.
You know what I was thinking, and I don't know. I don't know how this slipped through the gap, but have I ever had you read The Kin of a Ta?
That sounds familiar. Let me look it up. Let me
It's
see what the
also
cover looks
called
like.
it's also called The Dreamers, and there's a couple different covers for it.
How do
I
you
think it's
spell Ata? Oh, the kin of Ata are waiting for you.
yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Kin of a Ta
I
are
don't
waiting for you.
I don't oh yes, I had that is super familiar cover.
Which one? There's a few different covers, I think.
It's like a weird fleshy tree thing.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the cover that we have at our house.
Okay, maybe that's why I've seen it.
Not the one that has like the big flower in front of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a friend recently that I was like, you know what? You would enjoy this book, maybe. You should read it. But I found like when I read that book,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of defined a lot of who I am. And I need to reread
Okay, it
it. That's a
says
book that I try to
it's
reread every once in a while.
Okay, it says it can be read as an allegory of spiritual growth and shows the influence of modern anthropological writings on indigenous peoples and the writings of psychologist Carl Jung.
Okay, then.
I will
That was a lot of words.
that sounds awesome. I have not read it.
If any of the listeners are like, oh, maybe I want to see what makes Ballbuster tick, I'm going to read that. Understand that the beginning is rough.
Okay.
You've got to get through the beginning. And I mean, get through the beginning like the first 3 or 4 chapters.
Okay.
Like the first 3 or 4 chapters. A lot of people who I've had read it, they'll be like, yeah, I made it through the first 2 pages and put it away. It
Okay.
wasn't good. And I'm like, no, 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 no. You got to read until chapter like 4 or 5. Like it'll all make sense. But you
Oh,
but you got to get through it.
okay. It's not on Audible. That's sad.
It's hard to find. I may have to send it to you. It's a fast read. Well, fast for me, right? I don't know about other
Yeah.
people.
I'm just
But I
looking
used to
my
reread it like every 5 or 10 years. And I had a friend who just read it and they were like, yeah, that book's amazing. And
that's
remember our
awesome.
buddy Eder, I had Eder read it a long time ago, and he was like, oh my gosh, this so like it gives me an insight into your brain a little bit.
Okay.
And I was like, oh yeah, yeah, there's definitely things in my life that I pulled from this. So
Yeah, I might have to actually read it. It doesn't look like that it comes in a I can't have someone read it to me.
well, the next time we have a trip, I will I'll have you I'll let you use ours. Or maybe what I'll do is I'll read it and record myself reading it.
Oh, there you go. That'd be awesome.
Can I get in trouble for doing that? Like if I do a podcast where I just read a chapter a day?
Mm-mm. No, well, it's 1971. When's the like how long does that last?
I don't know.
Before you're allowed to do that. But I think if you say what it is, because I've had, well, you probably have to ask.
Yeah, probably.
I don't want you to get in trouble. But that's super awesome. How exciting.
Yeah, I think it is. I
Okay,
think that'd
did
be
they?
fun.
Okay, oh, see, I see what you're saying. So did they change it when it has this different cover?
Yeah, and there was like the original thing was called like the Dreamers, you know?
Okay. Oh, The Comforter, a mystical fantasy. The Kinevata are waiting for you. So it was The Comforter
The
originally.
the Comforter.
Uh-huh.
When was it the
That's what it
Dreamers?
says on Audible.
This thing on Barnes and Noble says it's a feminist sci-fi novel. Oh, that's funny. I've never thought of it that way.
Uh-huh.
Man. I wonder, like, how can you tell? Yeah, it was originally the Comforter. I see what you're saying. So I wonder where it was called the Dreamers. That would be interesting too.
Maybe you just made that up.
I'm maybe I just made that up. I don't think I did,
Okay.
but it's definitely possible.
Oh, The Comforter paperback is 120.
Oh, really? Like maybe I'll get that just as a collector's edition.
Yeah, or you can get it. Yeah, this person says they read it every 3 to 5 years and that the
Yeah,
120 is well worth it.
the 120. Uh, that's funny.
This one is it's 16 on buy it now.
Well, sometimes it is.
Mm-hmm.
So general works created after January 1st, 1978. Copyright protection lasts for the life of the author plus an additional 70 years.
Okay, what if it's before?
I don't know. I'm trying to find out. Mhm. For works first published prior to 1978, depends, it says.
Okay.
Hmm. Interesting.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for that. Yes, I've definitely seen. That's where, I mean, obviously it would have been your house where I would have seen that.
Yes, for sure you
I've
would have
seen
seen
that
it here.
book.
You know, that's what we need to do. Go on like a little cruise or beach vacation where I get to read and you get to read and we read some books.
That'd be super
Yeah.
awesome. I know. I guess that's gonna have to be this summer. We started talking about that a little bit. Our spring breaks don't match up this year.
No, no. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'll do for spring break this year. Go back to the Gulf, the Emerald Coast. Like we have a spot to go there and it was fun last time.
Hmm.
But, people may not want to sit there and do that stuff. Maybe they want something new. I don't know.
Hmm.
But
Well, if
you
it's
know
a
me,
cruise
I'm good
ship,
with everything.
then the kids all have stuff to do. You just got
That's
to
true.
keep your bride happy.
Which, yeah, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I won't. So, well, before we end, so you're gonna work on calming down, you said, for the new year when you're driving, living the
I do
game while you drive.
definitely
Anything
need to
else
do that.
you're aiming for the new year?
I should have had more goals because I do like to set goals. But I didn't actually set any and write them down. I do plan on using my journal more. I didn't hardly use it at all last year, and I did 2 years ago a bit. So I plan on getting back to that again. So I'm excited about that. And learning more with trading and continuing to work on myself. How about you?
I think I want to work out more. Like I already work out a little bit, but just in general. Like at first I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do push-ups like every day. But since I've only done push-ups one out of the last 3 days, maybe not that.
See, I usually don't like to set New Year's resolutions.
Hmm.
I try if I'm going to do something different, I try to do it during December.
So
But
that's so funny. I do the same thing, right? Like I started my 10,000 steps in December. And when I did
Mhm.
my running every day, when I had that goal, I made sure to do it in December. Why are
Mhm.
we weird like that?
That's because so many New Year's resolutions fail. So you got to
They
start them
do.
early. So it's not a New Year's resolution. It's just a new habit you're trying to start.
They do.
That's how I think of
I
it.
No, I think you're right. I think I want to do not journaling more, but writing more. You and I have
Mhm.
talked about that.
Yep.
I kind of wonder, and I guess we wouldn't have to do this together. It'd be interesting to do it together, but it'd be also interesting to do it remotely where we say, okay, for the next 3 days, we're going to be hermits except to each other and write.
That'd be awesome.
Like I was thinking, oh, let's lock ourselves in a cabin and do it. But actually, we could do that just like anywhere and just be like, okay, we're going to be isolated and be writing. So yeah, that's my
I
goal
think
is to
that's a great
write
idea.
more.
That's
So,
awesome.
all right. Well, people, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the episode. And this is Ballbuster signing off.
Kill the Dragon Jair. Love you all.